Well, that's probably about enough for music, so let's actually start maneuvering things around. And wondering why my headphones are picking up literally everything, including me moving my headphones. But today, showcasing WARSONG for the SEGA Genesis, which is old, to say the least, and really loud in my ears, like everything else. But in showcasing the, what do we call them? Strategy games. Yes, I'm perfectly mentally with it. We did Fire Emblem to showcase graphical stylings, me nearly breaking my entire setup down in a matter of trying to reposition. And then Jumpfire to showcase base management, and now this to showcase that, you can have a strategy game with generic units in it, and actually make them viable, as opposed to just being like, oh, your heroes are literally the only people that can do anything ever. So if you're looking at this in terms of like a Fire Emblem game, and since I actually have a mouse cursor on here, like it shows the different enemies you have, with the left hand icon being that commander and the icon next to it being the type of unit they have and the number of units they have. You have your characters, which would be your blue units in a Fire Emblem game, and then friend, it would be your green units in a Fire Emblem game. And then it showcases what your map looks like. I do believe the blue dots are where your friendly units are placed. And then with this, like, you have Garrett and Baldarov, and you can buy generic soldiers for them. I've done this a gajillion times. I mean, Baldarov doesn't really need... You know what, I'm just going to say no, because Baldarov really doesn't need units. And you can probably get away with saving a little bit of money by just giving Garrett 6, but just to showcase it, I'm just going to do 8. And with that, we move on. And then you place your heroes. And so, see, now each commander has a handful of just kind of generic soldiers that you can have follow them around. And as soon as all of his talking is done... Oh lordy, they talk forever. Okay, so with the commander highlighted, it shows the little, like, blue squares around him. That is your, like, command aura, for lack of a better term. So when I move him here, now it's over here, and so any of his units that are within the command aura get a bonus when he's fighting with them. And then, like, see how these guys are not. Also, all of the units with the little yellow balls next to them are grouped together as one unit. So all of these are currently Garrett's generic soldiers, and then Baldarov is right here. I don't know why this one's highlighted, because this is Garrett's, but then I highlight Baldarov and it showcases the guy here with the ball on him. But then it doesn't when I... whatever. Point being, I want to get all of Garrett's dudes up around him as much as humanly possible, because if you notice, his only reaches out 3 squares, whereas Baldarov's reaches out 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So you want to keep the units as close to their respective commander as humanly possible, but I just figured that would make for an interesting gameplay style, since that's not really used nowadays. You kind of have, like, your Fire Emblem 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons kind of setup, where each individual unit is kind of their own hero, and then they can, you know, do no wrong, basically. And then next up, you have, with this game at least, when you hit end of phase, it then moves to your friendly units all moving and doing their attacks. And like, the generic soldiers are literally like a stack of 10 soldiers. I've never understood what the little bit in the center there is, but I'll showcase that with the, yeah. Basic ability, revise order, revise grade, geography. I know that does something, but again, this is a game where, like, I didn't have the manual on hand when I was playing it, like, way back when, so I just kind of was like, oh, like, march your soldiers up, and that was obviously a bad play, but that's, again, that's out of my control. And, like, the units get bonuses from being near their commander and, you know, all that other happy hullabaloo. Which I feel like, if actually properly implemented, could be put into a Fire Emblem style game, because, you know, they're both turn-based strategy. It's just that this, you actually get to move around like whole armies instead of just like, oh, you're, you know, dozen heroes. And now it moves to the bad guys. Yes, I do believe the slowdown is a part of the game. Also, how it showed the little out-of-range thing down in the bottom corner, that was the enemy attacking Garrett's unit, which I have more than 3 squares away. Which I'll be able to, again, showcase once we get back to the player phase. The one downside to having so many, you know, commanders and generic units that accompany them is turns in this take forever. And it's really bad in one of the later levels because you end up fighting basically monsters that have absolutely ridiculous defense. And so it becomes an absolute slog waiting for them to move and attack and everything else under the yellow sun. And yay, we're talking. Yeah, but see, now Garrett's face is down in the corner and you can actually see it. Hey, they actually took somebody out. Which means... And then, like, when your commanders attack, instead of it being the 10, it's literally just them doing one kind of mega attack. done did fucked up a little there, so... Like, and then this guy, who's, you know, basically the Jagan of the game, is effectively unstoppable. So then... yeah, you have commanders and generic units, which, again, could be implemented into a Fire Emblem game. Does it slow the pace down? Not precisely. It's just that it does a whole different style of play than most people who are into, you know, Fire Emblem and the like are probably used to. I do not remember precisely how it works, if you're supposed to hold the button or tap the button. Maybe you're supposed to hold it. Yep, there we go. You can actually change the music. The sound test is up in this corner. So... just kind of a neat thing about this game. And with all my dudes moved, let's go ahead and end turn. Oh, and I just game overed by getting my main character dude killed. Oof. But then it just starts you back over. So, that's about how that works. Let's go ahead and shut that up for a minute. There, and... so that just kind of leads into what I was getting at originally. Let's see what happens if I go through my different things in my computer. Oh, right, that's what I'm looking for, and then let's go with... oh no, there's just so many things here. Oh, loudy. That was very loud. Probably have to go through the process of figuring out how to edit that out later, but we'll do that another time. Means I might have to actually end up redoing this if I can't figure it out. But oh well. And the important part is... haha, there we have that, and... oh, that's super quiet. which I suppose works just fine, because the main bit that I was trying to do was really just showcase how the game works. What on earth is this? Oh, something else I had open, but I'll deal with that later. The overarching point that I was trying to make with these little mini streams showing these different games is it's been running through my head for the last while now to have a game with like GBA Fire Emblem graphics, which isn't that hard to do. It's been done without just being, a ROM hack or anything like that. Like there was a game I saw here recently that it's that same GBA Fire Emblem kind of flair without being Fire Emblem. And so I figure if you can combine like GBA Fire Emblem graphics with Gemfire's base management and province management to where you're, trying to pull like a Dynasty Warriors empires and unify the entire continent with the WARSONG like commanders and generic units, if you can effectively conglomerate that all into a single game, that's the kind of like fantasy turn-based strategy game that I would like to play. I just don't know of anywhere that it's actually been done. There's obviously the Dynasty Warriors Empires games, which are hilariously enough made by the same people who made Gemfire. But like Gemfire's combat's just like, oh, you have like your cavalry and your archers and then like a mage. It's like, what if you could Fire Emblem that? And actually, while I'm on that note, where am I going? Oh, here. So, like, we'll just use this as an easy example. Like, there's the, like, Fire Emblem GBA units, and this is just like a little thing if you want to make like animated GIFs of them. They're from the Sprite database that's been around forever. I swear I got these on like a computer that I had that still ran like Windows XP. Then it's like, oh, so you have like something like this as your commander unit, and then you also have like, what if you have like a little mage boy that's one of your commanders, or like here's the female cavalier from Fire Emblem 8. Conversely, you could also run... Oh lord, my computer is definitely a computer. There, like, here's male cavalier Fire Emblem 7, which is the same graphic that they use in Fire Emblem 6 and Fire Emblem 8. And then, like, what if you have... like, this is, like, one of your mage 5th units... But then also adding in like the Gemfire bit instead of just having like, oh, you have your commander, like you have a commander that's a souped up generic unit with the generics that operate as their bodyguards, a general that either operates with a mage, like, oh, let's see, where is... Lord, there's a lot of these. I snagged so many of these so long ago, and I'm pretty sure Sprite Database is horribly outdated if you're looking for Fire Emblem graphics. Just because you end up with all these people who have made all these custom sprites over the years, and I still remember the good old days, if you could call it that, where, like, Fire Emblem ROM hacks were literally just kind of, like, bad fanfiction. Like... Granted, we didn't have the tools now that we did back then in 2012, 2013, whenever that was, that would showcase what you could do with modding. It was just kind of like, oh, well, somebody who made a Fire Emblem 7 ROM hack didn't like Lyn, so they replaced Lyn with Micaiah from Radiant Dawn. So, like, instead of having, Lyn, your Asian sword woman that's not really Asian, you end up with the white mage from Fire Emblem 10. Yeah, Radiant Dawn is 10. But then, so getting back to my original point, like, oh, you could have, like, this guy is, like, your mage unit from Gemfire, your 5th unit that's, like, the super powerful dude. Or maybe, conversely, you end up with, oh, I don't know, like, a unit of Swordmasters, or something similar. Like, I can concept everything in my head myself, but I know nothing about programming, let alone trying to ROM hack, which is probably honestly the easier of the two. But I don't know. I don't know programming. I just think it would be interesting to be able to conglomerate these 3 games into one congealed mass of, like, you actually have to manage your territory as well as march entire armies and not just, a handful of units where you can just kind of sweep the board in about 20 minutes. Oh, and that actually reminds me, because... oh, Lord, my computer is not wanting to cooperate with me now. There's one other thing that I wanted to showcase before I opted to call it a night. So let's get that booted up real quick. There is a Gemfire for the SEGA Genesis. And it's largely the same. The music is a bit more grating, but we'll deal with that. And of course, so you end up having the Genesis twang instead of the Super Nintendo sound font. The character graphics look a little bit different. Like, see, these guys don't all look the exact same. And then, oh, of course it starts me here. So, just, there we go. So, there's a reason that I wanted to do this, and I'll get to that momentarily. Also, if you haven't noticed, this game moves actually a lot faster, which is kind of what I was trying to showcase. Like, I did my 3 lands and then poof, I'm just automatically into the 2nd month. Which, if you remember from my other stream, it didn't exactly work that well. Or, it didn't work that way, is what I was trying to say. See, and then it just poof, automatically into the battle. The units move a lot faster. But they all have the same kind of, like, funky, generic noises that they make. And again, we'll leave the animation on just to showcase it real quick. That's a bad move. Technically, like, it would be better short term to do a rear attack on the enemy cavalry. Oh, actually, I've got an even better idea. If I'll let the archers attack first. Now the enemy cavalry is weaker, I will take less damage to my cavalry by attacking the enemy cavalry. Also, apparently, when they're blinking like that, you have to hit the confirm button again in the SEGA Genesis version, which is all news to me, but hey, like, shit happens, so we'll just kind of roll with it for now. Yeah, 100% honesty, the wizard guy is the only real threat. Oof. Now I can turn the animation off and just kind of showcase how all this is supposed to work. that was smart of them. They literally suicide run. Oh, that's going to hurt. Yep. This is dubious, but we'll do it anyway, because I didn't get a chance to showcase in the Gemfire stream actually completely eradicating the enemy unit. So, why not try that now? That's what I was afraid of. Oops. Ever have those days where you're fighting the enemy and you're just like, what an ace hole? There we go. There we go. Now, as long... Aha! There we go. So, last time I didn't get a chance to showcase completely eradicating your enemies. So, I can just... And you win by default if the enemy has no people left. Wow, Lauren's a dick. But anyway. So there's that. That is showcasing Gemfire for armies. Also kind of a neat thing in Gemfire, if you take out a commander, all of their generic soldiers die with them. So that's the whole of that. So I will call this particular stream there, because I got to showcase WARSONG and the Genesis version of Gemfire, so y'all even get a twofer. The whole none of you that are around. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Catch you next time.